Alright folks, I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but we're going to do something with some flies. But I just want to say a few things for the start of the video. Got hats still, waiting for an order of boxes to come in. We'll have some boxes. It's winter. We're tying flies. It's cold out. I mean, it's the other night it was sub-zero up on the salmon. It was from my place, it was close to zero. It's cold. Good time to tie flies. Spring's coming. We're going to need the flies. So really quick, our spade casting clinic, we're still planning on doing that this year. Last year was a great success. We're going to do it again this year. The last weekend of August is when we got it scheduled. We'll run one clinic on Saturday, a second one on Sunday. So if you're interested in a spade casting clinic, please send me an email either at Lost River Fishing or at JPEG Guides. I'm a Gmail. Just send us, or even, just contact us. We'll put you on a list. We're going to limit it once again to 10 students per day. So it'll be me and Ricky. So it'll be a 5-on-1, one instructor, 5 students, which gives you a lot of one-on-one time. So we're going to be doing that again, once again, last weekend in August. So just let us know. We're putting together a list of people that are interested. So that's pretty much what's going on. Oh, by the way, our calendars are officially open. So we're taking bookings now for obviously the spring and this fall. So if you want to get a trip with us, now's the time to get in there. Our book's open and we're taking bookings now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you find it interesting. Please leave a comment if you find it helpful. If you want us to talk about other stuff, if there's a fly you'd like us to see, if there's a fishing technique, anything like that, put it in the comments. As always, don't forget about that subscribe button, that bell icon. Just keep, use it. You people that just found the video, my YouTube channel, yeah, subscribe it because we do throw a lot of really neat fishing stuff at you. So for now, we don't have any cool fishing stuff on the river, but we got some fly stuff and some fishing tips in the fly tying thing.
Yeah, trying to get a fly string up here. There we go. They sell all sorts of fancy little rigs to clean up the eyes of your flies. I just use a fish hook. Come on. There we go. You're in a hurry and all of a sudden you got 10 thumbs. And they're all left thumbs. My clippers are getting dull.
Well, folks, you can see I'm at my disastrous pile corner called a fly tying bench. I always say everybody's fly tying bench is the most disorganized corner in the universe. But I'm going to do don't panic, a fly tying video. And my fly tying videos have proven to not be that popular. So what I thought I would do is gear it towards the rest of you that either are very good tiers or don't tie flies anyways. And I'm going to spend some time showing the flies that I use, or in this case the Zonker, and how we use it in the environment we use it, and see if that would be as interesting to the non-tire fishermen that watch my channel. So in this case I'm going to spend some time talking about the environment in which I use it, and I use Zonkers, and then I'll show you how I rig them and talk a little bit about rigging and and spend a lot of time talking about why I fish them and why they carried in my box. A minute on the fly. Zonkers, you can tie them in a lot of different colors. I mean, it's in this case you got some pink and cerise and purple sitting on my desk. I tie them in white, I tie them in pink, and a few other colors. So there's a if they dye the bunny in that color, you can tie it. My Zonkers are kept simple because I do go through a lot of them. They can get pretty complex in tying them, but I like to kiss roll, keep it simple when it comes to my Zonkers. The reason why I carry them and use them a lot is that a lot of our tributaries, especially where the fish like to hang out, can be very snaggy, very fly-eaty bottoms. Or you can just go through a lot of flies in a hurry. And very often I want a fly that I can swing through there, kind of drift, put it on a slow swing, and make it look like life. I use a lot of Zonkers in winter fishing, especially for my winter browns. Some of you would know that. A lot of white Zonkers and brown trout just eat them up. And why do they do that? Because it looks like a minnow and it looks alive. And same thing with steelhead, and same thing with salmon. They look like a minnow and they look alive. And the nice thing about these Zonkers is that rabbit strip, they're a kind of a buoyant fly. They have a tendency to be hard to get down, which you use for an advantage. The nice thing about that is when they're coming on a swing of the drift, and instead of a heavier fly like a stonefly nymph or a bead-headed woolly bugger or something you wrap some weight, they'll crash into that rock, stop, most likely hang up, or just kind of drag off from it, which doesn't look right to the fish. It'll ride that current over that rock and keep that illusion of life, which is what we want. We want that thing to look alive. We want it to look like it belongs there. We want it to look like it's some pesky minnow getting in their face that needs to be bit. We want to trigger that predatory response. And living critters don't crash into stuff. They just ride the current over it and keep swimming. And with the Zonkers, we can do that. And especially when you keep them light and keep them buoyant. So I do use them both on the old traditional old school technique of a floating rig, long leader, a little bit of shot to control my depth. And I also use them at times when I'm running sink tips, when I want to keep a tip down, keep it slow, but I don't want that fly dragging and banging. So I'll run a Zonker that's a little bit more buoyant, that'll actually ride just a little higher up and have that natural look of life. So that's the reason for the Zonkers. I'll talk more about that later on in this video, but for now want to tie the fly and then I'll talk about it, so hopefully it'll work out. Once again, on the end of this video, give me some comments, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what you'd like to hear me talk more about. These videos as much as for you as anybody else, so your feedback would be great. Thanks a lot. Alright, tying a Zonker. Here we go. I'm going to tie this Zonker pattern here, as you're seeing right here. I'm going to move through it pretty quick. It is a simple tie, so I don't want to spend a lot of time going over and talking about how I tie it. As you can see, it's a lot of you that are fly tiers but not be too familiar will go, oh, alright, I get it. And those of you who've been tying flies a lot probably already know how to tie it. So I'm going to be pretty quick about it. And obviously for those of you that are not fly tiers, I just don't want to bore you too much. I'm going to be tying this on a Daiichi, get it so the camera can see it, 2220 size 4. Nice big one so I can see it. And yes, I do fish these a lot in force. So sometimes you need to put a nice target out there for these fish. Alright. Thread is just a standard 6/0 uni black thread. We'll get her kind of based down here. And just got to bear with me, folks. I'm tying at a funny angle in front of the camera, because I want you to get a good, for those of you who want to know how it's tied, I want you to get a good look at it. The body is going to be really simple. In this case, I'm tying with some Metallica Pearl standard size Estaz, but you can use any Estaz you want. In this case, I like this Metallica Purple for this fly. And I'm not going to get too carried away with butt wrapping. I'm going to do a sloppy job of butt wrapping, or a kind of a tight spiral wrap. I've discovered with Estaz, if you put it on looser, it fishes better. If you put it on really tight, it doesn't fish too good. So as I tell everybody, when it comes to Estaz, just be cheap about it. Don't go cramming on there and thinking you have to put a lot on to make it work good. Like a lot of fly time materials, Estaz is the same way. Some is good, more is not always good. I like to wrap back over on that, make sure everything is secure. We got those little thingies up there, I'll kind of clean them up. Now this right here, I'm using a hairline product. It's a two-tone rabbit strip, purple and hot pink. Pretty cool stuff. I like it. Fish obviously like it. And I've already pulled out a chunk of strip here. A little prep thing. You come over here on the leather, and if you just cut a slight taper, that'll help make these heads not so big, and it can steer again pretty good. And with rabbit, a little bit of saliva, lick your fingers, groom the hair back. It does make it handling the materials a little bit easier. Come in, catch it with a loose loop, tie it in. If it's a little crooked, get in there with your thumbnail. I always say with fly tie material, we're bigger than it is. If you don't like where it is, grab it and put it there. So that's secured in pretty good. Now I want to put a collar in, and this is just some purple slapping big fat webby stuff that I picked out of my strung hackle. You always get this big fat gaudy stuff that's just really long and big. You wonder what you can do for it. Makes great collars on Zonkers. I'll just kind of pin back until I get into some good stuff. Leave myself a nice stem. Tie the stem in. And what I'm going to do is just butt wrap the collar back. And everybody says, how many turns do you use on collars? Since this is pretty beat up, I'll probably do a few extra turns. But I tell everybody when it comes to collars, how many turns? Well, I do it until it looks right. I like a lot of collar on these things. So that's starting to look right now. There we go. That looks good. And I'll tie it in. Get up in there and cut it. Now here again, it's a durability issue. I cut the stem. I got a few of the fibers. And I'll just fold it back and I'll tie over those fibers and help lock that stem in. That way the less chance of that fly coming unraveled while I'm fishing it. There we go, that looks good. Now because it's the front of the fly, what I usually do is whip finish it. A few turns, get a nice secure, and I will cut out and then move the rabbit strip forward and I'll retie back in. There's several ways you can tie the back of the strip in. I think if you talk to 6 different tires, you get 12 different techniques. This is just what I do. It's not the best or the worst way. It's just what I do. Come back over. And once again, saliva's our friend. I'll just kind of create a little crease in there. I'll just kind of groom the fur back and forth until I'm kind of like right over. I got a little bit forward here. There we go. And get down to the leather so I'm not packing down the hair. And 1 2 3 4 5 6 turns, 7 turns, 8 turns. That's good. Lick it again. Long whip finish tool comes in handy. Come in there and several turns. You can reach in here with your head cement and put a little dab on there. That is kind of helpful. And cut it out. Now get back in here, groom the head back. A little trick with your hackle. If it's sticking out like a porcupine, take your fingers, pull it back like this, take your other hand and go back and forth with a few turns. Just move the hackle and it'll lay it right out just nice. Now how long do we cut the strip? Well, generally what I do is I figure about the gap of the hook off the bend plus a little. I've been tying these a little bit long, so I've probably been going about guesstimating about a gap and a half. And I just very carefully, here's the trick, is to come in with your tips of your fingers and tip of your scissors, and come in here and very carefully just nip the leather. And try not to get the hair. There you go. If you get it too long, what can happen is the leather part of your Zonker strip can wrap around the bend of your hook, and then your fly doesn't perform well. So, and if you get it cut too short, then you don't get that nice Mr. Twister tail, pollywoggy type fishy tail action. So it's kind of, so I usually try to get about a gap and a half. I found that I don't have it following around the leather strip, following around the bend of the hook, and in the fly fish is true. So there's the Zonker. And like I said earlier, you can tie them in a lot of different colors. Now what I'm going to do is at this point show you how I rig it and talk more about why I fish this fly and why I do not put weight on this fly. I don't put lead in the bodies and I don't put beads on it. I keep this fly like this because I want it buoyant. I want to take a minute and show you how I rig these and kind of how they fish, and a little bit more on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a traditional setup where we use the old floating line, a long leader, like a 10-foot leader, and a little bit of shot, and also touch a little bit on what I do when I'm running sink tips off on a shorter leader. So to start out with, you can see I got it, it's a maximum of 10 pounds, so you can see it right here, about 36 inches. And then just for discussion demonstration, you can see I'm above my tippet knot. I got, in this case, a 3/0 split shot. Damn thing looks like almost like a boat anchor. But anyways, the whole idea is with the weight, I want to get close to the bottom. I don't want to feel the bottom with this fly. I just want to know I'm close to the bottom. An odd bump with the shot is okay. Because I don't want to be losing my rig constantly in the bottom. But if I know I'm within a few inches of the bottom, I'm good. And then with this longer leader, which is about 36 inches, coming back to the fly, with this rabbit strip and this buoyancy, this fly has a tendency to ride higher in the water column. So in snaggy spots where we got a lot of rocks, a lot of hang-ups, I don't have to fish as much weight or fish as tight to the bottom. That keeps me from getting hung up. Plus, with this fly coming across the current on a swing, being kind of buoyant, it has a tendency to ride over the rocks. And of course, when it does that, it's not banging into them, getting hung up, and stalling and looking dead. It has kind of like what live living things will do, is they come over, there'll be a rock, they'll just ride the current over it, come back underneath it, and keep going. Meanwhile, the current's working on all this stuff and it's alive. Yes, I'm fishing probably 6-8 inches off the bottom, but that's also where the fish are sitting, 8 to 6 inches off the bottom. I want this thing to look like life. I want this thing to be acting and moving and swinging where a salmon or a steelhead would expect a minnow to be. So the minnows are not laying on the bottom getting dragged into stuff. Minnows are swimming. They got movement, which all this rabbit fur and hackle will give. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it, reflecting off the scales, and some shimmer, which this SS body will give. So everything's right there to look at life. And then on the swing, in these snaggy bottoms, these where you can hang up a lot, these things have a tendency to ride over the debris and the snags and the rocks like a living thing. So in this case here, and then I just control my depth with a shot. So like in pockets or something like that, when I want to get the fly down and swing it through, you know, the weight will pull it down, it'll stall, the current will tow it, will then force the fly under the current to come down, and basically, lack of a better term, downrigger off of a ball, like in a downrigger out in the lake, but it'll hang on there, but the fly will still have the buoyancy to do this and work over the debris. So this is why I like these things in a lot of your snaggier stuff, and I'm definitely when I'm looking for a lot of life. Now with the sink tip, I'll go to the shorter sink tip leaders, which is about 6 to 8 feet. And I fish about 6 feet, 4 feet, truth, not 8 feet. And so if I'm coming through there, unless I'm fishing a small intruder or skirt fly with a little bit of weight on, let's say a small set of dumbbell lead eyes on it or a bead on it, and I just feel the thing drag a little bit, but I know I got my tip where I want it, a quick solution is to go to something like this, a little bit more buoyant fly. And very often, now that'll ride over, once again, all the debris in the bottom and have more of a look of life on the swing. So this is one of the main reasons why I like the Zonkers. It's just for that reason. They're a little bit more buoyant, and they'll glide up and over the rocks a little easier. Unlike a heavy fly or even a bead-headed woolly bugger, which will sometimes, instead of riding the current over a rock or over a shelf of bedrock, they'll just kind of crash into it and get hung. Where these will just kind of ride over and maintain that illusion of life. But once again, when I'm working the old traditional setup with leader, floating rigs, split shot, I like to have a 36 inches, then have my weight, and I just want to get my weight close to the bottom. I mean, if I feel an odd bump, that's fine. So once I find bottom, I'll back it up just slightly, back the weight off just slightly, so I know I can work the line down, get an odd bump on the bottom, and get my fly. You know, I want to fish about 6 to 8 inches off the bottom, and these flies really help you do that. There's the Zonker. Well, folks, I'm going to close this video down. Thanks for watching. As I said earlier, our flight time videos hasn't been as popular as I like, so we're trying a different format. So please, in the comments below, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, and tell me what you'd like to hear me explain more of, and what you'd like to talk more about with these flies. Because this is just not for the fly tires. I'm trying to do this for everybody. You know, kind of a little look into our fly boxes and how we use these flies. But until then, thanks a lot. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that bell icon. It's been a cold winter. We've had some issues, the same issues we've been having all summer and fall. But we should be done with that by spring. And I'll possibly talk about that later. But anyways, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. We're going to do more of these things. So you non-fly tires, there could be some real interesting information about the flies we use. That's the whole idea. So once again, thanks for watching. We really would like to have your comments so we can work on this little segment and improve it. Thanks, folks. See you later. This is Jay at JPEG Guides and Lost River Fishing. We are a year-round fly fishing catch and release guide service. We fish the Lake Ontario tributaries, and then during the spring and the summer we also fish the inland trout streams, classic dry fly fishing. During the heat of the summer, we will do the warm water fishing for bass and pike. If you're interested in any of our outings or have any questions, please feel free to email us at fish@lostriversfishing.com. Hope to hear from you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.